What is it about these dudes who have gotten rich off of one very specific kind of thing that makes them think they're qualified to do politics and policy on like everything? Oh, did you think I was talking about the United States? Don't worry, Canada's got its own ambitious broligarchs too. Myself and some other journalists have been reporting on how some of Canada's richest tech bros have been very publicly supporting conservative politicians and policies. Most recently, the CEO of Shopify was publicly licking Trump's boots, and another Shopify executive co-founded a right-wing media website. I could go on, but I've covered this a lot already, so go check out my other videos on it. Because there has been a very fun new development. The Logic recently reported that a lot of these Canadian tech bros actually had a group chat where they were talking about policy ideas for how to build Canada. And guess what? Because apparently wealthy white CEOs don't already have enough of a voice in our politics, they just formalized that sort of private group chat into something public. Specifically a platform called Build Canada. On this platform, they say that every week they're going to publish new practical action plans backed by builders and entrepreneurs who have done it before. Now, they say they started this group because, quote, "We got sick of sharing bold ideas on social media in private chats and political events and seeing nothing happen. We wanted to bridge the gap between great entrepreneurial idea and a real policy a leader can use." They said that their singular focus is a Canada where people build again, so let's take a look at what that actually means. Selling more stuff, boosting productivity and competitiveness, cultural shifts towards freedom and ambition, making services cost less. For who? And there it is, tax reforms. Specifically tax reforms that drive innovation and investment. According to the federal government, you have to register as a lobbyist when you are a paid individual who is communicating with federal public office holders in respect of certain subject matter, either on behalf of their employer or a client. Now, despite the fact that this group seems entirely driven by pushing for policy changes that, if you read this, it sounds a lot like they'd be ones that would benefit business, aka the individuals behind this project. They do clarify that they are not a lobby group because they're not paid, and they don't represent any special interest groups. All their supporters just basically happen to be CEOs. No, I'm serious. Let's take a look at who their listed supporters are. So right here, this is the Build Canada team. But based on a look at the memos that this website publishes on a weekly basis, it looks like the supporters are the ones who actually write them and who indicate whether they co-sign the ideas within that memo or not. Like this one that says Canada needs to start thinking about bringing in talent, not providing residency as a form of charity, which is written by one of the supporters and supported by several supporters. So what are the definitely not cohesive backgrounds of these supporters? Let's see, we've got CEO, ex-CEO, CEO, right, ex-CFO, CEO, VP, President, Co-founder, CEO, COO, CEO, and co-founder. Founder, CEO, and ex-CEO. And a really fun thing that I realized while looking at this group of supporters, there are 2 women and 3 Michaels. Technically 4 if you include Mike. So if we include Mike, that means there's double as many Michaels as there are women among these supporters. It's also so funny to me that the only socials they have linked are either LinkedIn's or Twitter accounts, which kind of encapsulates the whole vibe of this. So yeah, I'm just so excited to see what this diverse group with so many different interests and backgrounds and understandings of different ways of life will have to say about how we can make Canada more prosperous for clearly everyone, as demonstrated by the diversity of job titles among these supporters. So let's take a look at what these great minds have come up with so far. This memo says Canadians should be more proud, warning that a nation cannot survive, let alone thrive, if its people do not believe in its value. Feels like a bit of a weird thing to publish when we just saw the whole country really come together in response to those ridiculous US tariff threats. But let's give him a chance. What's he saying? Reward people for talking about why Canada is the greatest country on earth. End subsidies for specific creators. and instead fund specific media, digital content, and film projects that celebrate Canadian achievement and ambition to reinforce national pride. Frankly, I'm just in awe that we get to access the incredible ideas of these beautiful minds. Oh, and he also tells us exactly what laws would have to be changed to make this happen. They do this on every memo. Like here, look at the immigration one, where they want to make it so that spouses and dependents have to be evaluated on their own merits under the points system, making it harder, I guess, for immigrants to move with their families, and amend that same section to limit humanitarian admissions to 5%. Now, look, if they are publishing new ideas every week, maybe one of them's gonna hit. You never know. A broken clock can be right twice a day. And look, wealthy CEOs have just as much of a right to have opinions about politics and policies as the rest of us. But, you know, they just happen to have the means to put together a team to design an entire website and carefully package together their policy proposals with specifics on how they have to change the legislation, and they actually have the ears of the politicians who could later have the power to implement those changes. But really, if us normal people pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps, couldn't we do this too? Are you seeing the problem? Yeah. I think we should all get a little bit itchy when people with a lot of money turn their eyes on politics and start trying to implement really sweeping agendas for what our lives should look like. Because we're all watching what happens when someone with way too much money and way too much confidence decides he's an expert in stuff he has no idea about. But Canada has a few advantages here. Not only do we have more rules about money in politics, which we should be watching very closely to ensure are not being violated, but we also still have time to ensure that we make electoral choices that reflect the fact that we don't want people in office who are going to be licking the boots of billionaires. What do you think of all of this?